Hello, my name is Frida Player Peters. I am chair of the Budget and Finance Committee. I want to welcome you to the first Budget and Finance Committee of this term. We are proposing an amendment to the current fiscal year budget, fiscal year 2020-2021. There has been an adjustment in the enrollment for the school-based budgeting into the charter transfer. And so we are discussing the proposed budget changes regarding the enrollment. And now I will turn over to Mr. Chris Henson, our Chief Financial Officer, to discuss and to explain the proposed amendment to the current year fiscal budget. Mr. Henson?
Thank you, Chair Player Peters. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Jamal, if you'll advance that down one page, please. One thing that we always try to, not always, most of the time try to do in December is we adjust the budget based upon current conditions from what existed when the budget was approved. Of course, this budget was initially proposed back in the springtime, went through several iterations before finally being approved by the board on June 30th. And as Ms. Player Peters mentioned, and has been previously communicated with the board, we do have some enrollment changes from what was included in the original projection, which had those enrollment projection changes do affect our budget. And so we know that there's still a lot more that is unknown. And so we've not tried to necessarily predict the future as it relates to the second half of the fiscal year or the second semester. And so what we're trying to do at this point is to reflect what we know. And a budget amendment, just to make sure everyone's on the same page, we are not asking for any change in the funding allocation that was approved by the Metro Council for us. What this does is just adjusts the budget, amends the budget to move funds from where they are to where they need to be, again, based upon changing conditions. And so the first change that's reflected here on this first page is intended to be a summary page sort of reflecting the highlights of the actual budget amendment. The first change is there will be an increase in our charter school transfer based upon enrollment as we currently see it. As you probably remember, state law does require school districts to share state and local revenue with charter schools proportionally based upon enrollment. And as we looked at our most current enrollment figures, the charter enrollment was slightly higher than projections, while MNPS district enrollment was below projections. And that is going to require an upward adjustment to the per pupil amount that will be transferred to our charter schools. And so what we're doing here is we are going to be increasing the amount to the charter fund by $4,118,000. We don't know exactly what the charter transfer amount will be because we base the enrollment calculations utilizing the same methodology that the Tennessee Department of Education uses to determine our state BEP funding, which is looking at different months of the year. And for instance, months 2, 3, 6, and 7 out of the total 9 20-day attendance reporting months, 2, 3, 6, and 7 are what the TDOE uses to calculate our BEP funding, and correspondingly, that's what we use to calculate the funding for our charter schools. The second half of the fiscal year, that months 6 and 7, are more heavily weighted than the first half. Months 6 and 7 are weighted at 35% each. And so obviously the second semester has a 70% weighting of the calculation. Of course, don't know what that what those enrollment numbers might look like for that second semester. And so there's still quite a bit of an unknown as far as what that charter adjustment will need to be, but we wanted to go ahead and reflect what we have presently so that we can go ahead and make the change at mid-year. As indicated here, final allocations will be determined by actual revenue and actual enrollment for the entire school year. And as I mentioned, the second semester weighting at 70%. And so if you'll look at the second part of that page where it says SBB budgets, that would be our student-based budgets or school-based budgets. There are a number of account codes associated with our SBB accounts or student-based budgeting accounts. And as you remember from a previous communication and correspondence from Dr. Battle, we did, as we always do, we did go ahead and make adjustments to individual school budgets based upon enrollment changes. In most cases, that would be lower actual enrollment than projected. But if you remember from that discussion, we only took half of the reduction that we would take in a normal year for those schools that did experience some fairly significant enrollment reductions from what was projected. And so these budget adjustments have already been made, were made back in early fall. Schools have already submitted balanced budgets, approved balanced budgets reflecting these changes. And so what we're doing here is reducing the school budget allocations. Again, this has already been done through the individual school budgets by $4,118,000. And that is, as I mentioned before, that is the amount that we are recommending that would be transferred to the charter fund, because we know that the charter fund is going to need additional funding to meet the requirements that we will have. And so this basically takes what's already been done with individual school budgets, with the reductions to those individual school budgets based upon reduced enrollment, and moving that money to the charter fund for knowing that we're going to need to come back in the spring for a second budget amendment once we have a better handle on what second semester enrollment will look like as it relates to the calculation of the per pupil amount for our charter schools. And so in a nutshell, this is sort of a housekeeping measure, even though it's, obviously fairly unprecedented that we would have enrollment decreases like we have, just like basically every other school district across the state and around the country that is experiencing enrollment reductions, particularly at the elementary grades and particularly at kindergarten. So this just makes those changes within the actual budget itself. Again, you can see all of the different SBB accounts over on the side where it says account number. All of those accounts will be adjusted correspondingly based upon the individual budget decisions that schools have made. We've also attempted to reconcile number of FTEs or positions in the budget to what we currently have, particularly as it relates to individual school budgets. Schools make a lot of budgeting decisions, budgeting decision changes, and so we feel like we've got good data now using our AlloView software system, as well as coordination with human resources, where we feel much better about the number of positions or FTEs that are currently in the operating budget. So we have, in those cases where a change needed to be made, we have reflected those changes in the budget amendment itself, with an explanation over in the far right column, that remarks column, to show that we are adjusting to actual numbers or making adjustments based upon individual school budget decisions. So we also have included, and this is in the board agenda packet under the consent agenda, we've included the entire 25-page line item budget where you can see any changes that are being proposed with this budget amendment, and you can see exactly where they're going. So we do include that 25-page line item budget as well. And again, that's included in your board agenda packet so that we can give that level of detail. But again, the page here is reflecting a summary of basically the highlights of this particular budget amendment, realizing that we're going to need to come back in the spring with budget amendment number 2 once we have more information, more current information, and without so many unknowns as we have currently. So Chair Player Peters, I will turn it back over to you to see if you or others have any questions or if you want to see anything else relating to this budget amendment.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Henson. I would like the board to know that we will take a vote on this, a committee vote, just because it is on the agenda, consent agenda, as Mr. Henson referred to. So I would like this to put that on notice for the viewing audience and for our members. Are there any questions? If you have any questions, you can turn your camera on or just speak, and we will acknowledge you.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, I mean, will this actually translate to us losing positions in schools for teachers and administrators?
Ms. Player Peters, would you like me to respond?
Yes, Mr. Henson.
Yes. Yes, Ms. Masters, and if so, it would have already happened through the fall budget adjustments. And again, we have fall budget adjustments every year. Every year, schools are going to be below their enrollment projections or in prior years above their enrollment projections. And so we do make budget adjustments since their budgets are set based upon student enrollment projections for the next year. Once we have actual enrollment numbers, then we do have adjustments to individual school budgets. And so this would be the same as we do every year. And if those position changes occurred, they would have already occurred back in the early fall when back in the fall when these budget adjustments were made.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And I will say we will not be adjusting school budgets typically moving forward. We'll continue to keep an eye on enrollment, but unless there's a big change in enrollment up or down, we'll look at it at the semester break. But typically, once we've made the fall budget adjustments, unless there's a need, again, based upon a significant enrollment increase, of course, we're going to provide more resources to a school that may experience that. But we try to not cause disruption by only having the budget adjustment process at the beginning of the school year or early in the fall.
Thank you, School Board Member Masters. Are there any other questions?
I have a question, or I guess a comment. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Chair Players.
so
May I speak? So sorry. So I guess to piggyback off of that comment from Mr. Henson, we do usually have those adjustments, but historically, don't we try to keep the schools not held liable for those budget adjustments in regards to personnel?
Historically, we have not. What we have historically done is transfer, for instance, with teachers, working with human resources, transferring teachers from under-enrolled schools to schools that are above their projections. Mm-hmm. And so we have made those personnel changes in past prior years. And so that's something that's always been a part of the budget adjustment for the fall. Now, as I mentioned, once we get into the school year, we typically do not make those kinds of adjustments. And I know that I believe Dr. Barnes is putting something in the chat relating to that. But once we get past the initial budget adjustments for schools, we try not to disrupt a school by changing any of their positions once we get into the school year.
Thank you. And I guess I will read what Dr. Barnes put just in case. So it says this year HR worked to reassign 100% of both certificated and support staff, which was my follow-up question. So I appreciate that answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Barnes. And thank you, Ms. Elrod.
Any more questions? Seeing and hearing there are none. Dr. Sivi, first, The chair will entertain a motion, or I will entertain a motion to approve the budget amendment for fiscal year 2021.
Madam Chair, Sharon.
Second.
Okay, Dr. Gentry made the motion. I believe Ms. Tyler made the second. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Dr. Sevier, may you take roll call, please?
Dr. Gentry?
Aye.
Dr. Gentry votes aye. Ms. Elrod?
Aye.
Ms. Elrod votes aye. Ms. Masters?
Aye.
Ms. Masters votes aye. Mr. Little? Mr. Little? Ms. Bush? Ms. Player Peters? Pardon me, Ms. Buggs?
Aye.
Ms. Buggs votes aye. Ms. Pooper Walker?
Aye.
Ms. Pooper Walker votes aye. Ms. Tyler?
Aye.
Ms. Tyler votes aye. Mr. Little? Mr. Little passes. Ms. Bush? Ms. Bush passes. Ms. Player Peters?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Madam Chair, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, have 7 ayes, 2 abstentions.
Okay, the motion passes with 7 ayes and 2 abstentions. Thank you very much for the committee for your participation. Thank you, Mr. Henson, for presenting this amendment, and I adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.